So, Jason, can you introduce yourself? Tell our audience who you are and what you do.
My name is Jason Westrope. I'm a development manager with Development Management Associates in Chicago, Illinois.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your company. What do you do?
In essence, we optimize the performance of real estate assets for our clients, and we try to provide personalized, innovative, and comprehensive leadership in development management.
Well, what kind of clients do you serve?
It's a wide range, but they're all entrepreneurial. They can either be private investors, investment groups, equity lenders, or we can provide service to just entrepreneurs with a vision and access to funds, but maybe not the infrastructure to manage a whole project. Our leading principals have 25 or 30 years in the development industry, and they started this company with this idea that they could provide service at a higher level. We established a new company just 18 months ago, but we started with a good handful of really significant projects in the city of Chicago and around the country, and that continues to expand. We're working in Canada, California, North Carolina, Illinois, of course, here in Chicago. And we've been able to serve those clients remotely by using some of our IT support. One of our principals has a joke that he picked a wonderful time to start a new company, right as the market was sliding. I think what we found, though, is that it actually was a very good time to become small, nimble, and light. A lot of the big guys right now are having a lot of trouble, frankly. I think with a small company, we had to be very lean, we'd be very smart, very resource efficient. And so in a way, by sort of voluntarily downsizing to a smaller group, we were able to be more responsive.
I see. And for that reason, technology is very important to you. Right now, you're working with Jeremy Treaster and CMIT Solutions in Chicago. How did you first come across Jeremy?
We started with sort of an ad hoc approach to IT support, frankly. Our company started with the 3 principals. It rapidly went to 10 employees. And in that leap, we had to catch up a little bit to our IT support. And at that point, we had a whole bunch of layers of virus protection and sort of network solutions, including a backup system that wasn't really serving our needs. And we went to Jeremy. He came in and cleaned house for us, straightened us up, got us redundant backup both in-house and on the outside server, and helped to clean up not only the performance of our individual computers, but kind of get us set up on some protocols that would help us to secure our information, expedite our networking, and create better exchange environment for our BlackBerrys and our Outlook. The major concern was probably our backup. Particularly, we had proprietary information that we needed to make sure was secure for our clients. Jeremy was able to use very rigid security protocols for information, access, off-site storage, as well as backup redundancies. And I think it made us not only feel comfortable serving our clients, but it made our clients feel a lot more comfortable working with us.
So they installed the CMIT Guardian Secure Plus backup system. And as I understand, in the past, you did a lot of backflips to be able to make sure that your databases were backed up. What was that costing you in terms of time, money, and sleepless nights?
Yeah, I think the sleepless nights is probably the biggest expense there because there's always a low-cost solution. We identified very quickly that if we were going to do these significant projects with significant budgets, that we needed to have a more robust solution. Guardian Secure not only gives us that backup solution, having that backup work, and not only that, but be reinstituted very quickly and rapidly without necessarily having to call Jeremy in the middle of the night is very important to us. And Jeremy set us up on a program that allows us to not only have backup, redundant backup secured, but to be able to retrieve it effortlessly or at least as painlessly as possible. So if there was an uncontrollable problem, act of God, so to speak, you could recover very quickly and be up and running within hours versus days or weeks.
With the Guardian system, everybody thinks they're backing up. Everybody thinks, they take the word or the promises of somebody else, but they don't really know until they have a disaster, and then they try to back up. And I have to tell you that the most common comment I get back was, gee, we thought we were, but they didn't. And as I understand, you actually did a fire drill.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah, our CFO and some of our principals were very concerned about this issue. You don't want to have that moment in your company where someone asks you, where's the backup? And everyone kind of looks at themselves and each other and says, I'm not sure exactly. I know where the backup is. And so our CFO said, we're not going to get to that point. We're going to run a fire drill, and we're actually going to disable our server, and then we're going to restore our server. Running through that fire drill with Jeremy and his team allowed us a comfort level of knowing that we actually are backing up. We actually can retrieve and restore our systems if the worst case were to occur. There are things outside of your control with fires or sprinkler systems going off that you really have to be able to respond to. The fire drill, I think, really gave us a comfort level that we are backing up and that things are safe and secure and restorable. And you mentioned sleepless nights. I think our CFO is sleeping a little better now.
A lot of technicians are good at, fixing computers, installing software, even making your Exchange servers run well. But when it comes to being strategic, when it comes to looking at your business, understanding what your needs are, and then helping you come up with a technology solution that really fits your business strategy, most of them don't have that kind of expertise. How does Jeremy stack up in that area as being a real strategic advisor to you?
Well, I think there's three strengths that Jeremy brings to our organization. One is that kind of nuts and bolts day-to-day maintenance. And we've had people that could kind of do that. But frankly, they tended to not be very able to interact with us on a human level and speak common English with people that aren't as technically savvy, which I think is very important. He also has the ability to help us analyze projections or innovative ideas. Many times our executives will be traveling, they'll come back with a fresh idea about how to interact with our clients or how to provide service. Jeremy never squashes an idea. He will always research it, do what we call due diligence on it, and come back and report. And sometimes we adopt his recommendations or sometimes we don't. But he always gives a thorough review and in many cases provides options to us. He's a good fielder of questions. He knows how to interact with all of our principals. We have a pretty wide age gap in our group and different levels of comfort in front of computers. And he's able to interact with everyone at their various levels, to be able to interact with those people and get them up to speed and get them to be as efficient as possible, as Jeremy, I think, does very well. He's almost like a virtual employee sometimes.
One of the things that he's done with you, which I think is very exciting about what you're trying to do to serve your clients better, is using SharePoint. Now, a lot of people don't even know what SharePoint necessarily is, but can you give us kind of your simple definition of what you see SharePoint is and how Jeremy is helping you to serve your clients better with it?
Essentially, in my life, it's off-site computing. It allows our firm the ability to store data, transfer data, manage things like contacts, calendars, images, financial reporting, all sort of on a cloud, off-site of our office. What that really allows us to do is we have the national reach and perhaps even a global reach, the ability to go somewhere else, go to any computer with an internet connection, and access the same quality and secure data that we might get at our desktop back in the office. And that's very important when we're doing work for our clients around the country. We have teams in different states who need to have access to the same exact document our project managers are looking at back here in Chicago for purposes of collaboration and also just to have the latest and greatest information on site. You don't want to have two versions of data on different places. You need to be able to call the people in the field and have the same exact information at their fingertips. And also in terms of coordinating schedules, contacts, and other information, SharePoint's application allows us to interact seamlessly between our schedules, our people, and our data. So that really helps us a lot.
You're working in a business that often has been a real handshake-oriented, personal connection, I know the right people kind of business. And at the same time, you've got this technology part. So tell me how those two function in your new company.
I think that's how we would almost even define ourselves, is that we would be characterized both by innovation and what we like to call collegiality, that there's a human touch and a human consideration to everything we're doing. Having the right technological system is very important. SharePoint is not commonplace nowadays. We have friends and colleagues who have heard of SharePoint but really haven't gotten into using it, and I think exploiting that is very important. On the other hand, you don't want to lose sight of the fact that there are humans at the other end of the line, and we always tailor our technological approach to a project to the user. Likewise, having the ability to identify human resources that would go into serving a project is equally as important as picking the right software or right application. It's something that I think we consider one of our hallmarks, is that we have a human touch and a warmth to us that goes beyond anything we might do on the computer.
So before, I think your CFO maybe was the only person who had remote access to your network. When you didn't have remote access in the past and somebody's off in another town and they needed information that they couldn't get access to from their laptops, what did they have to do?
It would force you to have all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed before you left on that plane, versus having productivity all the way up until the last minute, which can be really critical when you're making last-minute changes. The environment we all work in is very dynamic. There are a lot of last-minute requests and context changes that you have to respond to, and having the ability to access a live document that can be shared right up to the last possible moment is a great feature. I mean, that's something that we've obviously been leveraging SharePoint for very heavily. It wasn't that long ago that people were actually typing stuff up on paper and putting it in file drawers. Making the jump from that to this digital environment with word processing and email accounts was a big jump that helped not only speed business, but allow people to be more responsive to businesses' demands. We've made another jump beyond just the digital platform to a shared computing environment where we can share things instantaneously, update things instantaneously. I can't imagine being stuck one or two generations back. That would be a killer.
So, what would you say to any other business owner out there, or maybe some of the folks in your own industry, who may be sitting there wondering, do I really need this kind of belt and suspenders stuff? I mean, maybe they look at DMA and say, oh, Jason, he's a hotshot. He's into technology, and they like that stuff. But why should anybody look to this kind of solution and what Jeremy Treaster and CMIT might be able to offer them?
I can imagine when times are good, you can find it easier to beg for forgiveness if something is delayed or if data is lost or there's a problem. The dog ate my homework kind of thing. But in this day and age, when this technology and this level of service is available to you at relatively affordable rates, how can you not wear your belts and suspenders? How can you not have the protection? And it's not just a worst-case scenario response, but it's kind of being more powerful, extending your capabilities. And what good IT support does for you is allows you to be better at what you do, so you're not worrying about the backups. I would think that peace of mind and the ability to perform at your highest level in this current environment is going to be a better insurance policy than hoping that the worst won't happen to you. Going back to your backup question, where's the backup? You don't have to ask yourself that question. You can do the work you do and do it well.
What should people know about working with Jeremy Treaster and CMIT Solutions in terms of his ability to be able to help them, especially considering that he's got the CMIT Solutions franchise behind him?
Well, I think Jeremy is offering the best of both worlds. I mean, he's a real person. He has a name. We know him. He stops by our office. We see him on the street corner. I see him at events before, actually, and so he's in the neighborhood, and he's a guy that you can actually talk to, and it's not an offshore help desk. By the same token, he has the national reach of CMIT to back him up. You mentioned Guardian Secure Plus and Marathon Performance. He has the ability to do off-site monitoring of your system, and there's a personal touch of someone that can actually respond to your queries. We have a very consumer-oriented company in terms of our principles, and they expect personalized service, and Jeremy delivers that in addition to the power of CMIT. He also specializes and understands our business, and that's important. He took the time to come in and talk to us about who DMA is and what we do for a living and how we do it, and sort of tailor a solution for us. I'm not sure any of the big companies would necessarily be able to establish that personal connection as quickly.